been very critical of Joe Scarborough. Joe and Mika right there on this show. But as Cenk likes to say, and we agree, it's the barest show in America, which is why we're about to praise Joe Scarborough for calling out Trump's BS on the Affordable Care Act. Here is what the former president said in a video he released yesterday.
To terminate the ACA, as crooked Joe Biden says all over the place. I'm running to close the border, stop inflation, make our economy great, strengthen our military, and make the ACA, or Obamacare, as it's sometimes known, much better, stronger, and far less expensive, because it's much too expensive now, and it's not very good. We're going to make it much better, much stronger. In other words, make the ACA much, much better and far less money cost to the people. We don't want people paying the kind of numbers that they're being forced to pay. It's ridiculous.
Okay, so all that was a lie, every bit of it. It's pretty easy to debunk Trump's statement there, because all you have to do is look at the past, and there's a lot of it. So let's take a look at this compilation that was put together by the Morning Joe team.
We're going to create great health care. We're going to get rid of Obamacare. We're going to terminate it. We're going to win by knocking the hell out of Obamacare, terminating it with Obamacare. Getting back to the boring subject, it's almost a waste of time talking about it, because when we terminate it, all we'll do is say it was a bad experience for the American people. We are decimating Obamacare. We got a bad vote the evening. We got a bad vote the evening that we were going to terminate Obamacare. Hopefully we'll win at the appellate division and go to the Supreme Court to terminate Obamacare. We want to terminate Obamacare because it's bad. Look, we're running it really well, but we know it's defective. What we are doing is we want to terminate health care for under Obamacare because it's bad. We almost got it done, but John McCain voted against it. That was a bad day. Remember that? Thumbs down after campaigning for 10 years. Thumbs down, everybody.
And dying of brain cancer at the time, but he showed up and did do that thumbs down. So let's talk about this, because his favorite word was terminate. And it sounded like at one point, I think I got it right, where he said he wanted to get rid of health care, okay? And then he clarified and said Obamacare. What do you make of this rewriting thing? Because he's doing the same thing with Roe v. Wade. He probably announced, I got rid of it, I destroyed it. And then suddenly it's like, no, let's just rewrite history, and a lot of people in America will just buy it.
Yeah, so I'm of two minds on this one. So first note is what you started with. Look, guys, I kid around and say we're the fairest show in America, but I'm only half kidding. Look, Joe Scarborough says a lot of things that frustrate us, and Joe Biden is a guy I've criticized a lot and even ran against him, right? And so then people think, okay, that must mean that you like Trump. No, it doesn't mean that. So when Scarborough points out what a lie this particular thing that Trump is saying, great, wonderful. I love giving credit where credit is due, right? So let's talk about Trump then. So now he's coming out and saying, Obamacare, I just want to make it better. Come on, brother. Come on, you're on tape 1 billion times. And really, you think people forgot that you were dying to kill off Obamacare? And by the way, is it because he thought it was not a good healthcare plan? Here, this is literal. So after he got into office, they started talking about killing off Obamacare, but they wanted to talk about what should replace it. But the Republicans don't have any plan to replace it because they don't give a damn if you die. They just wanted to replace it so that the insurance companies and the drug companies could even make more money, right? Because those are their top donors. So Trump came out and said, no one knew that healthcare was this complicated. No, brother, we all knew healthcare was that complicated. You were the only schmuck that didn't know that. And that's why they never came up with an alternate plan. And the main reason he wanted to kill it off is not because he thought there was a better plan, which he never even put any thought behind. It's because Obamacare was called Obamacare, and he wanted to be better than Obama. Obama made a mean joke about him once at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He was going to show Obama, okay? So then he failed. So where's the other side? Because I said in the beginning, I have mixed feelings about this. So Trump is in some ways an awful politician, but in some ways, not policies, universally, not universally, there's actually we talked about it earlier, HBCU, and actually some of the criminal justice reform he did wasn't that bad. So we're fair when he does things that are right, but 98% on policy is awful, and we've shown you all the different ways that he is. But on politics, he's doing something that the Democrats could learn something from. Now, it's not necessarily honest. No, it's definitely not honest. Let me be clear. But it is going closer to where the American people are, which is what you're supposed to do in politics, especially in a democracy. So, for example, on abortion, he wants to have his cake and eat it too. So he's like, hey, Republican primary voters, I killed abortion, I killed Roe v. Wade, I'm the champion, I got this conservative court that killed it off. Now he's going towards the general election, and he's like, well, American people love reproductive rights and women's freedom. So all of a sudden he's like, oh, that Arizona law that takes away abortion rights, boo, get rid of it, get rid of it. We're now pro-abortion and pro-reproductive rights. On the one hand, get the F out of here. You don't believe any of that stuff. On the other hand, it's smarter to go towards where 70% of the American people are than not, which leads to the final point here. Obamacare is won. It is now so popular that even Trump is pretending to be in favor of it. And he just, oh golly gee, the only thing I want to do is not terminate it, like I've said a couple hundred times, but make it better. All of a sudden you love Obamacare so much you want to make it better. But that shows you how popular it is. Otherwise Trump would never be going in that direction.
Yeah,
Ramesh.
I mean, first of all, I think Morning Joe is strong at exposing Trump with less attention to the conditions and the corruption and the reason why there is such desperate populism that led and leads to Trump's rise and his dominance. I mean, as we talked about before, I would say that Trump is the biggest movement leader in this country, and that energy, that affect, that sort of passion, we desperately need that as progressives to form an affective counterpoint to Trump, because we know the mainstream of the Democratic Party doesn't have a lot of passion, doesn't have a lot of charisma, because it's sort of like, I'm just gonna restore the soul or kind of like get it back to where it was, but maybe not make America great again version, but maybe the make America great again version that was like maybe not the 1950s racism version, but the other one that was sort of neoliberal and flawed, right? So there's no energy or charisma or vision, as I say every time I'm on the Young Turks, in the mainstream of the Democratic Party. It comes from progressives, but we need that passion and that energy. So Morning Joe does a good job pretty much every day at exposing Trump. I mean, that's kind of their focus.
Yep.
I've been on there a couple times, but they mainly just want me to talk about Trump. You know, I'm talking about techno-capitalism. I don't use that term there, but like,
right, yeah.
But they want to talk about Trump. I'm like, so as long as Trump represents gross surveillance capitalism, then okay. You know, so like Cambridge Analytica, okay, that was fair game. So at the end of the day, I think we need to know that when Trump was president, not only did he pass the biggest tax cut in the history of the US for the wealthiest Americans and corporations, and did not pursue corporations paying taxes at all, or the Bezoses and et cetera of the world, but he also was totally supportive of an inflated military budget, which of course Biden is too. And he's very good. He is a very skilled politician. He's very good at saying things that touch the pulse of populist energy and being very vague about it, right? Like so with Gaza, he said, well, you guys need to get it done more quickly. And so some of us like hopeful, desperate that our Palestinian brothers and sisters won't continue to be murdered are like, oh, maybe, you know, so I've even heard people say, oh, well, Trump's a little better on foreign policy. But I think what he means by that is a quick and dirty, you know, bloodbath. I don't know, you know, and more like an optics PR kind of thing. He's definitely skilled at PR. Or similarly with this Obama thing, Obamacare, ACA example, you don't really, you know, what does he mean by make it better? It never means anything, right? But it's smart because it's figuring out what the pulse is of enough of the population, calling attention to it, and then kind of saying things that are, I guess, probably intentionally vague, that sort of makes us hope for something. I mean, not us, but his supporters hope for something, you know, or those of us who are hoping maybe he would be like more humane on certain issues. But we know that the Republicans, and this is clear, want to cut, and they put it out in their vision document, that long document, you know, you guys reported on. They want to cut healthcare. So it's not Obamacare. They want to cut healthcare, and they want to cut Social Security, and they want to continue to inflate the military budget. So that's that, and that's a violation of what it means to live in any sort of just or equitable democracy.
Yeah. So I think the Democratic leadership gives you no populism. Trump gives you fake populism. It would be great if we had progressives who gave you real populism, and that's exactly what we're trying to do, where you represent the actual people. And you can take Trump being a crafty politician in both directions. So on Gaza, when he says, well, let's just finish it real quick, the guys who want to hear a peace message go, oh yeah, see, he means wrap it up, stop the war, right? And people who want to hear the message of kill all the Palestinians hear, oh yeah, great, finish them quickly, kill them all. And so that's what a politician does. A politician that's both good and greasy, right? So you could interpret it in both ways, and it's in the eye of the beholder. But at least he's trying to win and be popular, as opposed to Joe Biden, who barely tries. So that's the awful choices we constantly keep going back to, unfortunately, on the show.
Yeah, and I feel like with Trump, it's the scarcity of detail. And I think that's part of his messaging, where Biden seems to be not the best messenger and bogged down in all these extra words and Bidenomics and all kinds of things that the public's just not buying. At least when you use very few words, release very few details, your Gaza example is spot on, because I can hear what I wish to hear and wait to find out what Stephen Miller and whoever else is shaping policy is really planning on doing. We know that Social Security is something that the Republicans and Trump have taken aim at, but that's not the only thing. I mean, I thought Wall Street already did whatever they wanted, but according to a recent Reuters report, Trump is planning on deregulation, a bonanza for Wall Street if reelected. Reuters spoke with, among others, about a dozen people that provided advice or been consulted by Trump or his allies. So they're already, planning this in detail. The ideas include curtailing the Dodd-Frank Act, a set of post-2008 financial crisis rules. We know what happened in 2008, intended to reduce systemic risk. Another idea is to make it easier for private companies to raise capital, in turn opening access to less transparent, more difficult to trade private funds and securities. More recent policy includes ideas include attacking environmental, social, governance, investments, disclosures, which help screen businesses based on socially conscious factors, or potential dramatic cuts to staff and regulators through a mechanism known as Schedule F, which would reclassify up to 50,000 civil servants across the government as easily replaceable political appointees. So this is not term number one. If he gets back in there, Cenk, he's got a plan, and he won't have too many establishment Republicans standing in his way to get some of this done.
Yeah. So when I talk about Trump being wrong on 98% of policy, I'm not being glib. I mean it. And so this is a great example of it. So this fake populism that him and the Heritage Foundation are cooking up is actually total BS, meant to help the biggest corporations in the world rob us blind. That deregulation, I've read all the details, I know all of them. There's one or two things that are arguable in there. Other than that, there's about 98 proposals in there that are just highway robbery. Okay, it has nothing to do with populism. When they take the cops off the street, in this case Wall Street, they're gonna let the robbers run wild. A lot of these regulations were the ones that came after 2008, so the bankers wouldn't take outsized risk with your money, with depositor money, because they thought, oh, this is great, the government's letting us gamble with this, and if we win, we keep most of the profits, but if we lose, who cares? We make the taxpayers pay the bill, right? And they're gonna go back to those bad old days. Why? Because Trump's getting money from those bankers. And half of this is the Project 2025 is about making sure that oil companies can keep drilling and that we don't do anything about climate change. What does that have to do with populism? So like if you want to make an argument for, hey, I don't like paper straws, okay, great, that's no problem, we'll have that debate, right? But this isn't that. This is no rules for the oil companies. Let them do whatever the hell they want. But when the oil companies do whatever the hell they want, again, they keep all the profits, and then when there's costs, like a giant hurricane that hits Louisiana or Florida, etc., we pay, the taxpayers pay it. No, the whole point of this is to have the richest people in the country rob all of the rest of us while Trump pretends to be a populist on our side.
Socialism for the rich, rugged capitalism, feudalism almost for everybody else, right?
Exactly.
And every one of these policies you just mentioned, you just laid out there, show how Trump is actually the actual policies, the actual actions that have been taken and will be taken are all about supporting private elite corporate interests, including Wall Street interests. The only good thing that came out of the 2008 crisis, I didn't support the bailouts, was Dodd-Frank, and they're gonna get rid of that. They're gonna get rid of even the extremely limited ways in which corporations try to show some care or awareness of the environment or diversity, right? We know that these are sort of neoliberal practices, but at least there's kernels of liberalism in there. For him, it's just all rugged, to the wealthy go the spoils.
Yeah, he's a corporate Trojan horse. So that's why Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, the other day on TV said, "Oh, he's so extremely compassionate." Yeah, he's extremely compassionate to billionaires like Woody, and by the way, to Woody's company, Johnson & Johnson. So he goes and tells conservatives, "Oh, Johnson & Johnson's vaccines, I don't know about that, and you guys are right, so screw science." And he turns around and he's like, "Woody, how can I help Johnson & Johnson make even more money off these fools?" And that's who Donald Trump, the con man, is. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.